All right, here with Brandon Vasquez. Brandon, you fight in the 185-pound class, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Middleweight class here. So.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit about when you got into it? How long have you been into the sport?
I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu about 5 years ago, and really fell in love with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu aspect of the sport and the grappling. Later on, when my senseis that taught me Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was doing really well in MMA, so I just wanted to test my skills in a MMA match with, striking as well as grappling, and see how well, my skills have evolved over the last 5 years, and see if in a real situation that, if what I was training for so long would work, so.
Okay. Now, what attracted you to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Growing up as a kid, I watched, Royce Gracie, and the Gracies, he was about 170-something pounds, 180 pounds, destroy guys that were 250, 300 pounds, and it was just something that here in America we didn't really know much about at that time in the 90s, So once I seen that, I just started searching for Gracie schools so I could learn that type of art because, those are my heroes growing up, so I wanted to train that, and met a lot of really nice guys that do it, and, just fell in love with the sport, so.
Now, I'm assuming that you fell into this in the area, into the art form. You think of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the Cleveland area. Was it hard trying to find somebody that taught that?
Yeah, I grew up in Lorraine, and really there was no schools out there at the time. I had found a place in 2006 under Craig Kramer. It was the Royce Gracie Academy, and it was in Amherst, Ohio. So it was about 5-10 minutes away from my work. So I checked that out, and Craig Kramer, he was a brown belt at the time. Now he's a black belt under Royce Gracie, and that's where I kind of learned my fundamentals and started in on the sport. And it just kind of fell into place from there. So. Okay.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about your training regimen, how often you train, and what kind of diet goes along with that?
Yeah, I just try to eat, mostly organic and natural foods, nothing that's processed, I still eat meat and, and stuff like that, but I just try to not eat, like, processed foods and stuff and, kind of just keep it all natural. I train usually 6 to 7 days a week, for at least 2-3 hours a day. Some days I'll go and do cardio and strength and conditioning. And then lately, 4 or 5 days out the week I've been here doing either judo or jiu-jitsu or MMA, so to be good at this sport, you really have to be an athlete and really devote a lot of your time into it, because as fast as the sport's growing, there's guys that are really talented, and really strong, good wrestlers, good grapplers, good strikers, so, to be good at the sport, you really have to devote a lot of your time to it, so.
All right, and what is your record at this point?
I'm 2-0 right now. My first win came by rear naked choke at 1 minute and 30 seconds. So, that was, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu paid off there. And my last win was by strikes, like 1 minute and 40 seconds. But it was just, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I just used it to get to an advantageous position and dominate it. So, all that training was in vain, I found, so it's been going well for me so far. This one's probably going to be a little more of a test for me, so I look forward to it.
Okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot of physical training that goes into this. Can you tell us about the mental training?
Yeah, I'd say, it's very physical, and you do have to have strength conditioning and technique. But at the same time, it's a very mental game, too. It's about 90% mental, I'd say. I've always been, kind of mind, body, soul kind of guy, so it's definitely with the physical part of it, you have to have mental strength. And, honestly, I've always been a shy person, never liked to get up in front of a lot of people and do anything, so for me, the first time I got in the cage was just, I thought that I'd, get that fear and freeze up, but it was the opposite. I just kind of had a certain calm about me. I was meditating for a little bit before I got in there, just cleared my mind, and honestly, my heart wasn't even really beating fast the first time I fought, or the second time, so it's all about just controlling your body through breathing and staying calm and staying composed, so it's just as much mental, because if you're freaking out and your adrenaline's rushing, you can't think straight, so it's just about as much of a mental game as physical, if not more, so.
Okay, June 26th, you got a match coming up. Do you know who your opponent is?
Yes, his name's Mike Stuck. I've watched some of his tapes and on his last couple fights. He looks like, from what I heard, he's more of a grappler too. So should be a good matchup for me. I think he's more of a jiu-jitsu guy himself. So I think I maybe see a little bit more striking in this one, just because usually if you have two grapplers kind of neutralize each other, you end up standing up. So I hope to see, try to test my hands in this one and maybe let everybody see a little bit of my stand-up game. I'm not just a grappler, so.
Okay. Now you take you mentioned you'd watched some of him recently.
Yeah.
Take a sport like football, where you got the teams watching tapes after game's over. They're trying to prepare for who they're facing next. Is that common in the sport to go and review tape on other fighters that you're going to face?
Oh, definitely. He put his fights up on YouTube, and I just ran across them. So I watched his last fight. It was in Delaware, and I seen that his stand-up's a little sloppy. He's a southpaw, so just that would tell me, stand up, circle to the left, so it's like I said, it's a very mental game. If you watch the tape on a guy, you can pick apart his weaknesses and his strengths. Honestly, I think my jiu-jitsu is more technical than his. My stand-up's more technical than his. So I feel like I have an advantage anywhere it goes. But, just watching the guy's tapes, you could kind of pick apart his game, So it's definitely, it helps if you could see a guy's fights before you go in there and fight him. The last two guys I fought, I didn't have a clue. It's a little more scary when you go in there with a guy that you don't have any idea about than if you've seen a fight over his two. You can kind of stay a little more calm and realize, okay, this is his weaknesses, these are my strong points, so take it there,
Okay. All right. Well, Brandon, thank you very much, and good luck on June 26th.
I'm awesome.
Oh, that's all right, man.